DevOps is a platform that Microsoft provide. You can either use, the dev.azure.com public endpoint to obviously build your projects and build into Azure, or you can have your own Azure DevOps platform within your network. Obviously, the second option takes a bit longer to deploy, but there are benefits to that. But basically, DevOps supports multiple languages and frameworks, and it allows us to deploy both applications and infrastructure as code into our Azure environments. We can use things like service principals to give Azure DevOps permissions to deploy to Azure. So we can do all of our infrastructure as code and our automation through that instead of doing it through the shell. And that gives us like pipelines and release pipelines and automation as well. So after one pipeline is deployed, another one will trigger and things like that. So it's if you're not using it at the moment, it's a really good way to start getting into the mindset of using DevOps to deploy things to Azure. But another good thing about DevOps is by using the service principles, it only gives Azure DevOps the permissions to deploy into Azure. So rather than deploying or configuring multiple RBAC permissions for each subscription within Azure, you can get DevOps to do that for you and deploy what you need to deploy into that. It's more secure just because you can ensure that only service principals have the privilege to deploy to Azure and not multiple other users. It provides an easy audit trail for the software that's been deployed. So once you've done a release pipeline and your code's gone into Azure, you may have an issue that you need to roll back on. You need to go back and see who's deployed that, or why it's been deployed, who's approved it, etc. So it's got a good audit trail. And some of our larger customers now using DevOps as a primary method for deploying and managing the infrastructure and applications. It's much quicker, it's more secure regarding permissions, and it also provides less of user error. We're all human. It's very easy to accidentally configure an application a different way to how it's supposed to be configured. We're all prone to human error, so DevOps kind of reduces that and deploys a very consistent environment each time. And moving on to that, we're linking to that. It prevents environment drift. So as I mentioned, all of us are prone to human error. We all do things differently to each other. We've all got our own way of doing things, and some may be better than others. Very natural, but this happening over and over again can lead to multiple issues within the deployments. And then what you'll find then is what you've meant to deploy is slightly different as everyone's started deploying different things. So you then have the unfortunate event of discovering security flaws within your applications and your infrastructure. But if you use DevOps release pipelines, it will provide a consistent templated approach, to deploying your infrastructure and application code. And having less errors, having to not redeploy things all of the time, will then speed up deployments and also give you the confidence as a business that your new app and environment, to say so, will be safe and secure.